Hey everybody, welcome back. This is going to be part 2 of 3 parts for this particular project. What I'm looking for everybody to try with a job like this, and I hadn't given a specific video for you to start, is for you to decide on your own what tools you prefer to use to sketch over the top of things or just sketch in general. You don't have to be precise when you're tracing something like this, except for specific dimensions. If we're going to 3D print something like this, I'll show you the photo again. This back here has to be printed thick enough to actually bend and not break. And then the parts that connect have to be spaced right so they move and don't fuse together when they're being printed. And it prints on its side. So this is a bridge that runs through the air through an opening that you cut or loft and remove in this center segment or bottom jaw here. And then this design can be modified and turned into anything. You can recreate the whole thing and create whatever creatures you want and make them bendy as long as you have the right kind of placement of these parts. But what I want to talk about real quick is how you can really make this internal section here very clean and kind of perfect with the right tracing steps. So this is going to be using a whole different series or different philosophy where you're using geometry to build. Like I'll use use a circle and then I'll cut away a section of it when I'm done. So tracing something like a semicircle can be done with a 3-point circle tool, which is super impressive. You can hit any 3 points of an arc, and it's going to trace that out and create a perfect circle there. Same thing goes over here. You can make another one. Just any 3 points on that. Anywhere you'd want to do this even later on. Something like down here. Somewhere like over here. Anywhere you see something like a perfect semicircle, sometimes it's really easy to just build it with different tools in a way where you can cut away sections of line. So I'm going to draw just a straight line connecting these two circles out here. Escape the line, start another line, connect it from the outside edge. Got to be careful with where these place. The end point there. Hit the L. Connect another line from here to here. And I'll just finish this up with I gotta escape that line. It's a little bit wonky where it placed, so pull it. Then conic arc I'll use from here to here, just so I can show you how you use that scissor tool. Finish that up, and then you can cut away these and trim away the sections of this circle that you don't need. It's just, again, one way to do it. There's a lot of different ways that you can escape out of these tools and pull things around. You can always adjust stuff as long as it's not black and locked in geometrically. Figure out how to straighten it out and clean it up. But the rest of this could actually be done with things like arcs. Apologies, my throat is a little bit messy. One thing with sketch tools is remembering you can go back and round things over and change the shapes. Later on. So something like that can do. Definitely doesn't have to be perfect. Just showing you how fast things can be made without having to be super selective and picky about it. I'm trying to be a little bit patient about transitions from tool to tool, because it is mental energy to get in here and continue to decide and exit and enter into different tools. But I got to right click and escape my line here. So I use some straight lines there and I go back to the arc. You can say I can pull an arc in here. It doesn't have to be a perfect point. Actually, you know what? Escape conic. I do too. Put a conic in here. enter another one in here. Things like transitions, if you want to do stuff like this, you can zoom in close and see that it's going to get a smoother point in here if you're close and careful. So it's pretty quick once you get the hang of interchanging the tools and knowing how to escape out of them to then go in and modify them if you miss points. Making decisions like, is it easier to round those over later? In this case, yes, it is. So I can use straight lines. I could even go in here and round stuff like that over later. This makes more sense for a conic. Escape out of the line, make another conic arc. The line tool is still on there. Enter, escape. Cool. Did we get it? Here's how you know. It's still open somewhere because it didn't turn gray. I still have to finish off the teeth over here. We'll be able to move on here. Straight line. You can see these indicators coming up as we move along. You hear a lot about constraints in videos. If you're watching pro videos, I try and not go overboard with too much stuff until the timing is right. You can see parallel indicators coming up, so lines are adjacent and parallel if you want them to be, and things like that. You can start to understand the basics of the geometry and the software. And remember, you can always escape. Use your white arrow here and modify anything if it's blue, so you can grab endpoints, adjust. That's why you don't have to be super picky. Sometimes things will start to align and move with one another. The way to avoid that as it's going, if you want to and you notice it happening, you can hold down the shift key and it'll stop those constraints from being dropped. But let's double check here. Yep, everything is gray because it's a outline complete. I'm just gonna, for right now, not spend a lot of time going back and using the sketch fillets. Once you get that, you can modify those things at will. But I'll just trim this. Okay, so the next step here is to do the extruder 3D phase 1 of this, and you're going to have to make sure that you extrude with symmetry. I'm going to close this out, double click on I'm just going to delete this one so you can see it from scratch. Yeah, you're going to have a new extrude. I have to click both of these sections here because of what I just did. But if you don't finish the sketch, you can just click extrude. They should both pop out like this, and then you choose symmetric for the extrude. So what you'd have is a split of 25 millimeters going half one direction, half the other, and that's that. So next video is going to be putting sketches on here and the other side, and we're going to use a loft remove to open up a slot and then build a neck in to connect the head. We can go back in here and just real quick. One thing I forgot. It's the eye. Shark needs an eye. This is a good little review of going back in, making modification. Enter an iconic arc. Enter green check mark. And it's now built in because it updates. Yeah. Hide that so you can see it. And you should have two separate parts down here if you want to click both of these and edit the appearance and start to recolor it. Make it a little bit bright. Bright is good. Makes it easier to design work with. And then you can actually, at this point, hide these planes because they're just in the way for right now.